We are live.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May 20th regular meeting of the Easthampton Town Board. Carol, would you please read the roll call?
Councilwoman Burke Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Lees.
Present.
Councilwoman Overby.
Here.
Councilman Bragman.
Here.
Supervisor Van Scoyac.
Present. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the
United States of America, to the republic and the nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's meeting, we will have 3 public hearings, followed by a public portion where any member of the public may call in and address the board on any topic. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. And then we'll have some resolutions to offer. But first, we are honored to have our town historian, Hugh King, with us today. Welcome, Hugh.
Well, welcome, but I'm not going to be doing a lot of work today. You've done all the work, hopefully, since the last meeting. And we were talking about the cattle drives to Montauk, and this is the time of the year that happened in our town. So I asked everybody a different question about it, and I guess we could start with Councilwoman Gonzalez. And I believe your question was the involvement of the trustees.
Right.
In the whole process.
Yep. You asked me what role did the trustees play in the sheep drive to Montauk? And I found the information on the Montauk Historical Society's website. And the average reader of Easthampton Town records is somewhat confused as to the actual ownership of Montauk from 1660 to 1879. According to a thesis written by the late William B. Jackson of New Haven, Connecticut and Amagansett, titled The Manorial Common Pasture System at Montauk, the pasturage system there was unique in America. It was not the whole town, but a group of first settlers who purchased most of the peninsula from the Indians. They were the proprietors. From 1660 to 1852, Montauk affairs were, however, managed by the town trustees. The trustees appointed the time for driving on and off the cattle, horses, and sheep. The trustees chose the pound keepers, cattle keepers, and gin keepers and named their compensation. The cattle keepers' fee included rights of pasturage, a certain amount of firewood they might gather or cut, the use of a house and barn, garden, and backyard. The trustees also named the men who were to assist the keepers on the drive in shifting cattle from one field to another when the grass grew short and in repairing fences or sheep shearing. When about 1838, dissatisfaction arose with the town's management, there was legal action. All rights were released by the town and turned over to the proprietors in 1852.
Wow. That's it. And you could have found that information also by reading the trustee records. The trustees have a record of all that you just said, Councilwoman Gonzalez, in their records. Thank you. That was great. And now we go to Councilman Lees, who is going to be talking about First House.
Thank you very much, Hugh. Kathy, by any chance, did you get that email from me?
I did.
So I'm on the road right now, but Kat, I did some research. I sent a couple pictures over. I want to thank Mia, the director of the Montauk Historical, for some of the photos. So you asked me about First House. So First House is one of 3 houses that the keepers of the cattle grazers were using. First house was originally built. The first one, it stood in 1744, and then the house that would be the photo that I hope you can show was from 1798. It stood on the land now part of Hither Hills State Park. It's no longer there because it burned down. It actually is on Cemetery Road, so right where the park is, where you can go camping, is where Second House stood. It is the area that the Indians named Nominet's Hill. On the location there is actually one of our great bicentennial plaques that tells some of the story about First House. Also there is a cemetery, the First House Cemetery, which is an old abandoned colonial cemetery. That's why it's called Cemetery Road. And in there, you might be able to see a picture there of not of the house, but also if it's up on the screen, you also see a headstone from Mary Hedges, who was buried in 1787, which is one of the oldest stones that we actually have in the town of East Hampton. So a neat little site there, and it's got the best picture if it's able to come up, I can see. And
there it is. Yep.
thank you very much.
No, that's great. You know, when you went to Montauk years ago, it was an all-day trip, and you would stop in Amagansett and get a like a long branch. And then when you went down through the Napeague stretch, what did you meet? The mosquitoes. Yeah. And then when you got to
Right.
the house, you put some salve on to get, and then you actually had something to eat. And then I think the guy at first house also was to prevent the sheep from second house from wandering back west. But that was great, Councilman Lee. Thank you.
And I'd
Yeah.
love to
One
coordinate
added,
two of us worked out.
one added thing. I'm so sorry, Hugh. One added thing is that there, I guess that first house is also where they separated when
Right.
the sachem of the Montauk Indian tribe wine dance initially sold the peninsula. They had the fence to go across the eastern part of the Napeague stretch there. And I actually had a nice conversation. Who I know a person who might be listening. The grandson of Vinnie Grimes, actually. So Vinnie, if you're out there, Mr. Grimes, I got some information from your family also.
Great. Thank you. God, this is wonderful. Now, Supervisor Van Scoyoc, you were going to talk about Arthur Benson's story and all this.
Arthur Benson was born in 1798,
Right.
passed in 1889, and he was the president of Brooklyn Gas and Light, and he developed New York City suburbs, most notably named after himself, Bensonhurst. So he developed that farmland there in between 1830 and 1850. And in 1869, Benson was one of only 9 original investors in the Brooklyn Bridge. So he was literally trying to sell people the Brooklyn Bridge at that point, and he managed to get a couple other people to buy in. The name of Benson comes to our locale in 1879, when at auction he purchased for $151,000, 10,000 acres of land, and in the center of that land happened to be the home of the Montauk tribe in an area called Indian Field. And he proceeded to try and gain full title over that portion of the land by offering tribesmen $10 each for property. And you know, it's actually kind of a sad point in our history, which ultimately a federal court ruled that the Montauk tribe was extinct simply because they've been moved off the land, and some went to the Midwest, were given farmland out there and whatnot. And it's funny that you would give me that question, because I just happen to have in my office, and I don't know if you can see it too well, but this is the advertisement for the auction of Montauk, including the map of the land that was being auctioned off.
Wow.
And that sits in my office. And that's what I have. And one of the other lasting, benefits of Arthur Benson are the Benson reserves. When he subdivided Montauk, there are certain areas and rights that are deeded to those areas in Montauk to ensure public access and perpetuity. So as you go down the old highway, there near the Montauk Beach Property Owners Association, in that general area, and in front of the hotels, there's the Benson Reserve, just as you enter downtown from the old highway.
Well, that's great. And Arthur Benson's son, Frank, and his wife managed to wangle out of the trustees some of the old Indian deeds, and they were going to take care of them. And they wound up at the Brooklyn Museum. And I think the late Tom Toomey got them back. I'm not sure. I have a call into the library. And I think they've come back here. And also, you know, the George Fowler House, remember, Benson also agreed to give them $80 and move them to Freetown. Now, I don't think the George Fowler House was in Montauk. We think it was built where it is, but that's a connection, right?
Yeah, and Hugh, with the Fowler House, there are actually elements of the Fowler House that were moved from Montauk to construct the house.
Okay.
In doing the renovation, we discovered that one of the main timbers in the house actually has the initials of the chief of the tribe at the time, and I think it's David Farrow was inscribed on that beam, and what was customary to take a portion of an existing structure which had been blessed and was ritualized, and to have that as part of the foundation of a new home. And interestingly enough, we hear obviously in East Hampton have a long history of preserving and recycling houses and historic structures. So
people.
I speak from you today and from inside the Hedges house.
Yeah, great. Okay. Councilwoman Overby, you were going to investigate the Montaukets and all this.
Yes, and I have to say, I used two sources that were really good if anyone wants to find them and read more extensively about the Montaukets. One was the Disrupting the Narrative, Labor and Survivance for the Montaukets of Eastern Long Island by Allison McGovern. And this was a dissertation that she did for her doctorate. And the other is a book called The Montaukett Indians of Eastern Long Island by John A. Strong. Both of those are really give a lot of information about the Montaukett Indians. So herding and pasturing and labor, the English began herding their cattle to Montauk for summer grazing in 1655. The grazing season began the cattle drive east in May, this time of year, and ended with the removal of the cattle back west in November. The Montaukets, too, were employed in agricultural activities by whites. In 1670, an indigenous man identified as Obadiah was paid 10 shillings a week to keep cattle at Montauk. He was employed for a month and replaced by another indigenous man, Wabatine, for a month for the same amount of money. 12 years later, the town contracted with an indigenous man and his wife, and they were to, and this is from the contract, they were to begin at the east end of the plain and set their wigwam there just within the fence, and to be continually there both night and day, as to secure horses and other cattle from coming to do damage in the plains until Indian harvest time. And it goes on, that's a little further, but I won't read it all. In particular, the Montaukett presence in Montauk was useful for activities related to the drive and tending of the livestock. Montaukett men constructed fences, monitored the fence lines, tended livestock, and rescued animals from swamps and wetlands. When their fields were kept open to cattle and grazing, they were responsible for those animals' well-being too.
Wow!
So
and then another source too is the History and Archaeology of the Montaukets by Gaynell Stone. Remember, we used it when we found we were talking about the cemetery in Panago, and there was a whole thing about that cemetery in there that I never knew.
So yeah, all good information. I really, it was lots of good reading.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah. And now, Councilman Bragman, you're going to start the beginning and the end.
The beginning and to begin at the beginning. The story that's been handed down is that in 1655, which was 7 years after East Hampton town was settled, a group of East Hampton men wanted to pasture cattle in Montauk, and the Indian chief, the Native American, we should call him, Wyandanch, gave them the right of pasturage and an option to buy. That may have not been a great idea. I think that's what wound up costing them their right to live on the land. But in 1660, Wyandanche's widow and son sold most of the land to the Easthampton men for 100 English pounds at the rate of 10 pounds a year, payable in Indian corn at 4 shillings a bushel, or payable in good wampum at 6 per penny. But the 1660 deed gave the Native Americans liberty to sit down on the land, which they did, and they lived at Indian Field, north of what's now what is Deep Hollow Ranch, until after the 1879 sale to Arthur Benson, when they were resettled. Some people would call that swindled into moving back to Easthampton. And some of the other board members have talked about how the ownership of the land was a little bit confusing between 1660 and 1879. And it eventually became, it was eventually, the people that owned it in the beginning were called the proprietors. And then ultimately it became managed by the trustees. And you're correct that they separated out the sheep and the cattle, and they tried to keep the sheep from wandering into the cattle and the cattle from wandering into the sheep. And apparently this type of pasturage arrangement was unique in the United States to the Montauk area. And over the years, people inherited shares of Montauk, and they entitled them to a certain amount of pasturage. But I have a little bit of confusion about how long it lasted. One date I have as a terminating point was 1914, actually, as the latest date when they were still grazing in Montauk. But there was some indication of a slightly later date. But I think my best guess, I'm going to go with 1914 as the end of the pasturage in Montauk. But as you indicated, it was a time of big celebration, and they'd eat pork and beans, and it was kind of a fun thing to open the drive for the cattle, the sheep, and the cattle to Montauk. And that's about what I have. I could go on. I have a long list of other facts, but.
Wow. Now, isn't this much better than me getting on here and yakking for like 15 minutes about the cattle drive to Montauk? Now, I'm not trying to eliminate my job, okay? But this is so much better, and thank you all so much for taking this seriously and doing it. So your reward is going to be that next time we come on, you can ask me a question about anything in Easthampton history. And then I'll use that as an excuse not to know the answer because it's just too broad. No. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. We really appreciate you spurring these conversations and this transfer of historical information back and forth. And, frankly, I do enjoy hearing you talk about history, and look forward to next time when.
Well, give me an easy question.
Questions and.
Yeah, well, give me an easy question, then you'll hear me talk. Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks so much
for joining us, Hugh.
Okay.
At this point, we have 3 public hearings I'd like to move on to. And Carol, if you would read the hearing notice for the first.
First, I will read the COVID disclosure for all 3. Due to the public health and safety concerns related to COVID-19, the town board will not be meeting in person. In accordance with the governor's executive order 202.1, the May 20th, 2021 meeting of the town board will be held via video conferencing, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. The public will have the opportunity to see and hear the meeting live and provide comments. The public can watch the live meeting on local TV channel 22 or live online at the public meetings link on the LTV website. If any interested persons of the public would like to provide comment on the public hearing, comments can be called in during the meeting at the call-in number provided herein and on the town's website and displayed at the live feed at the time of the hearing, 351-888-6331. Pursuant to the requirements of the executive order of the governor of the state of New York, a transcript will be prepared of the public hearing and a copy shall be on file the town clerk and placed upon the town's website. And comments will be accepted in writing by the town board to be received by email to cbrennan@easthamptonny.gov or by mail to the town clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, and actually received by the close of business on May 27, 2021, or 1 week after the posting of the hearing transcript, whichever is later. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the website for any changes to the instructions to access the virtual meeting and for updated information. Please take notice that pursuant to Section 247 of the General Municipal Law and Chapter 16 of the Town Code, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on Thursday, May 20th at 11 a.m. or soon thereafter, same may be heard, to hear comments of all persons wishing to be heard concerning the following grant of scenic and conservation easement to the Town of East Hampton. The grantor is 23 FVMTK LLC, Mike Rinaldi, managing member. It's a scenic and conservation easement dated April 27th at 23 Fair Lawn Road in Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 348-810.2, and the reviewing agency is the ZBA.
Thank you, Carol. Michael, do we have any callers on the line for this hearing?
We have 2 callers on the line. I'll unmute the first caller right now. The last 4 digits of their phone are 0077. Hello, caller with the last 4 digits of your phone, 0077. Are you there?
Yes, I am. This is Jeff Meisner.
Hi, Jeff. Are you calling to comment on the grant of a scenic and conservation easement hearing or public comment in general?
No, I was commenting about I think I'm on the right side, the Water Quality Technical Advisory Committee's recommendation about grants related to improving the area around Little Northwest Creek.
Okay, if you could just hold on the line, we'll get to that hearing in just a moment.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong line then. I'm on the wrong call.
All right.
Not the wrong call, wrong meeting. Okay, thank you.
Michael, we have another caller waiting as well.
We do. I'm going to unmute the next caller whose number ends in 2424.
Yeah, hello, this is Dave Grimes from Keith Grimes Inc. The reason I'm calling in is
Hi, Dave, can you hold on a second?
How are we doing?
I'm well.
Yeah.
We're actually in the middle of a public hearing, and we're taking comments on that public hearing first, and then we'll get back to you on public comment. So if you could just stay on the line. Hold on the line. We'll get right back to you.
There are no other callers.
All right. In that case, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye. Passed and carried. Carol, if you'd please go on to the next public hearing and read that notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on May 20th at 11 a.m. or soon thereafter. This matter may be heard to consider comments of all persons regarding an amendment to the East Hampton Town Code, Chapter 209, Low Nitrogen Sanitary System Rebate Program to amend the Water Protection District map. Any person wishing to review the amended map may do so at the town clerk's office during regular business hours or by viewing the same on the town's website.
Thank you, Carol. We have Melissa Winslow here from our Natural Resources Department to give a brief introduction.
Good morning, Town Board. I have a presentation I'll share. So I'm just going to provide a brief overview of the proposed changes to the Water Protection District. This was recommended to the Town Board by the Water Quality Committee back in March. So the Water Protection District identifies the areas in the town of East Hampton that have the greatest potential to impact priority water bodies that are in need of protection and remediation. And this is based on the groundwater travel time and density of use. It was created in 2017 as part of the town's septic incentive program, as these areas represent priority areas for on-site wastewater system upgrades. Eligible property owners within the district automatically qualify for the maximum incentive of up to $20,000 through the program. The district was originally defined based on the Harbor Protection Overlay District, which was roughly the 0 to 2 year groundwater travel time, as well as areas identified as priority in the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan. So what are the proposed modifications? The Water Quality Committee proposed an update to the boundary lines based on new data that was released through the Suffolk County Subwatersheds Wastewater Plan last year. This plan was developed to encourage municipalities to develop watershed-based plans to improve water quality, as well as to transition to advanced wastewater treatment throughout the county. This included real data for groundwater modeling throughout Suffolk County that's more detailed and accurate than what was previously used to develop the Water Protection District. In addition to updated data, the Water Quality Committee assessed the boundaries and believes that the 0 to 2 year groundwater travel time isn't really sufficient to protect our water bodies, as it's a relatively short travel to our open water bodies. And the expansion to the 10-year groundwater travel time can help incentivize upgrades in sensitive areas and help the town reach its water quality improvement goals. So the committee recommends expansion as well to the Clearwater Beach Hog Creek area, which is a high density neighborhood in Springs, which is a priority that was called out in the town's wastewater management plan. So this really should have been included in the original iteration. But we have new data that was collected from Hog Creek through a groundwater study with Cornell Cooperative Extension that suggests that there's very high nitrate levels, both in the pore water and surface water that's coming into Hog Creek, so that this really justifies this modification in adding this area. So this map shows the difference between the existing Water Protection District boundary in blue and the proposed boundary in black. The color gradient shows the groundwater travel times that's based from the county subwatersheds plan. So the proposed district includes areas previously included in the Water Protection District, as well as expansion out to the 10-year groundwater travel time. And then I just have, this is the final proposed map that will be available both on the website and at the town clerk's office once this is adopted. And that's all I have on this.
Thank you, Melissa. And I believe we had a caller on the line, Michael, who wanted to talk
Yes, I'll unmute that caller
about
now.
water protection.
The last 4 digits of the phone was 0077.
They may be calling about the grant awards, but we'll try to determine that.
Hello.
Hello, caller.
Jeff Mize.
Were you calling for the Water Protection District map hearing or the RFA grant awards for water quality?
The grants related to the water quality program.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
We'll right with you. That's the very next hearing, so please stay on the line.
Okay.
Have any other callers on the line than the two folks that had called in for other purposes?
No, we do not. Just those two.
In that case, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. Carol, if you'd read the next hearing notice, please.
Take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing pursuant to section 64E6 and 112(4) of the town law of the state of New York on May 20th at 11 a.m. in town board meeting room, East Hampton, or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider the following: awarding a grant funding for 6 water quality improvement projects. First one is Friends of Georgia Capon, final engineering design and stormwater abatement projects to capture the flow of runoff for treatment before entering Georgia Capon at the 27 rest stop. Non-point source pollution abatement for $50,000. Second is Peconic Land Trust, installation and monitoring of a permeable reactive barrier to reduce the groundwater nitrogen input at Georgia Capon. Non-point source pollution abatement, $74,428. Montauk Shores condominiums, upgrade of existing cesspool sanitary system to the sewage treatment plant capable of treating up to 43,073 gallons GPD to service the existing Montauk Shores condominium community. This is a conditional award which limits the proposed STP flow to the existing flow and lot coverage limits with no increase in the intensity of the use of the property. Wastewater treatment improvement for $200,000. Village of Sag Harbor, engineering design, the sewer shed L to increase the sewer service area for the existing municipal sewage treatment plant with excess capacity. The service area will collect and convey 9,800 GPD of sanitary wastewater, which is the equivalent of approximately 33 homes. It's a wastewater treatment improvement, $288,800. Nineveh Beach Property Owners Association, bio-infiltration, rain gardens to be designed and installed along Harding Terrace and private road owned in Nineveh Beach Property Owners Association to reduce stormwater runoff and improve water quality of Little Northwest Creek. It's a non-point pollution abatement for $53,275. Cornell Cooperative Extension, request for funding for phase 2 of the multi-purpose permeable active barrier to remediate a plume of ammonium entering Accabonac Harbor utilizing oxygen injection, oxygen releasing compounds to treat ammonium and permeable reactive barrier to treat nitrate. The PRB will remove potentially 112 pounds of nitrogen from the groundwater entering Accabonac Harbor. Non-point pollution abatement, $79,225, conditionally pending availability of funding in the fall of 2021. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person, by agent, or by attorney, and by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Board.
Carol, Melissa, do you have an introduction to this as well?
Yep, I have a presentation ready if you'd like. Let's see if I can show this.
You could give us a brief overview and then we'll go to callers.
Sure. So these projects all went through a very thorough review by both the town and the Water Quality Committee, and were recommended to the town board at work session on May 4th. Oops. So the first one is from Friends of Georgia Pond. This is for final engineering design of bioswales and stormwater treatment structures at the 27 rest stop. This is actually the second iteration of this project, and it's come in with a lot more detail and more appropriately located bioswales in the pathway of runoff flow, and is an improved conceptual design from the previous submission. So the diagram on the right kind of just shows the location of proposed drainage structures and bioswales, and this would be subject to minor change through, final engineering design and what the engineers deem as the most appropriate and effective remediation here. They received a grant from Suffolk County for $75,000 and will be receiving some additional help to hire an engineer through an RFP with the town. And their award is $50,000. Peconic Land Trust, this is, directly adjacent to that previous project. So it's really a concerted effort here. It's a proposed permeable reactive barrier along the shoreline of Georgia Pond on recently acquired property by the Land Trust. A preliminary survey was completed by Cornell Cooperative Extension, and it was determined that there's a pretty high flow of nitrogen-rich groundwater coming in here. So this is deemed as an appropriate treatment to try to alleviate that source. So they are also planning on teaming up with SUNY Stony Brook to see if this treatment will be effective for PFOAs. And this award is for $74,428 to the Peconic Land Trust. The Village of Sag Harbor came in for final engineering design for sewer shed L, which was deemed as the highest priority sewer shed from their sewer master plan that the village completed last year. And the goal really is to collect and convey additional wastewater to the existing sewage treatment plant to utilize their existing excess capacity and try to remove as many cesspools from operation as possible. So this would be up to 33 additional parcels hooked up to advanced treatment here. And their award is for $288,800 to the Village of Sag Harbor. Montauk Shores, this is another large scale wastewater upgrade. This is proposed to service 198 units and ancillary buildings at Montauk Shores condominiums in Montauk on Ditch Plains. Their existing flow is 43,073 gallons per day. They originally proposed a design flow of 47,000 gallons per day, which would account for allowing additional flow for expansion of some of the units on site. The Water Quality Committee felt very strongly about restricting the flow to the existing and to make sure that there isn't additional expansion. So they would be held to their existing master plan and lot coverage on the site. We have had some preliminary discussion with them, just make sure that they would want to move forward with the project given those constraints, and they are amenable to that. So this award is for $200,000, which is kind of a small portion of the project, but enough incentive to help those homeowners want to move forward with this, big water quality improvement project in this area. This is for Neneva Beach Property Owners Association in Sag Harbor. It's for rain gardens in the road right-of-ways in Harding Terrace. This is to kind of help the existing runoff that's bypassing the dry wells in this area be captured and treated and prevent flow into Little Northwest Creek. The Water Quality Committee wanted to award just basically half of this project to the east side, which is more sensitive habitat in Little Northwest Creek. The flow is currently going directly into wetlands there and into the creek. Another big benefit of this project is that the Property Owners Association will contract with a landscaper to maintain the rain gardens and make sure that they are successful moving forward. So this is a big plus. So the award for this project is $53,275. And then the last project is with Cornell Cooperative Extension. This is for the ammonium plume remediation with a multi-phase PRB at Springs General Store. Cornell Cooperative Extension has done some pretty extensive monitoring here and has found high nitrogen that is in the groundwater flowing into Accabonac Harbor. They've reported up to 26.2 milligrams of total nitrogen in the groundwater, which is predominantly ammonium, which is kind of a big problem here. This kind of shows that there's likely some cesspools sitting in groundwater or, not with sufficient separation from groundwater where nitrification isn't happening. So that's why we're seeing this ammonium here. So they're proposing doing a two-step project for first doing oxygen injection, which would help with nitrification. It's a reaction that needs to be in an oxygen-rich environment for ammonium to be converted to nitrate, and then a traditional wood chip PRB to denitrify the groundwater to convert nitrate to nitrogen gas, thereby removing it from the groundwater before it gets into Accabonac Harbor. So they received some funding from Accabonac Harbor Protection Committee, which will be funding the first phase of the project, which is the site characterization. And then their proposal is for an award of $79,225 for phase 2, which would be actually installing the nitrifying PRB. So this would be based on them providing the town with a report with the results from the site characterization, and then pending availability of funding in the fall, they would be able to receive that $79,225 to complete this phase of the project. And this is just kind of a summary of all of them. So total award, $666,503, following the public hearing, and if the town board chooses to adopt the first 5 projects, and then pending the completion of phase 1 of the Cornell project, that would increase to $745,728.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's go to the phones. Michael, if we could bring back that caller who wanted to speak.
Yes, I'll unmute that caller right now. The last 4 digits of his phone are 0077.
Hello. My name is Jeff Meisner, M-I-S-Z-N-E-R. I'm the treasurer of the Nineveh Beach Property Owners Association, and I help work on the draft of the grant request. So I just wanted to thank everybody on the Water Quality Technical Advisory Committee and the town of East Hampton for giving us this opportunity. We think it's a great opportunity to help improve the water quality of Little Northwest Creek. And we're happy to be a homeowners association doing it. We're not a large homeowners association, and we couldn't really do this without some help from the town of East Hampton, so it's greatly appreciated. We've thought about this as a community for quite some time. My 93-year-old next door neighbor was in charge of gardening for years, and she was always campaigning about doing rain gardens and getting some help from the town of East Hampton. So she's very happy that the younger generation took over for her. The focus of the improvement for the rain gardens is on Harding Terrace, as Melissa mentioned, and that Harding Terrace ends on the eastern end about 50 or 60 yards from Little Northwest Creek, basically the mouth of Little Northwest Creek, and then it points to the wetlands that are part of the New York State wetlands. So recognizing that we didn't have the background to do it, we hired Nelson Pope Voorhees a year ago to do a study of projects in our Nineveh community. We found out that there was quite a bit of nitrogen runoff in several locations, but this project would be an immediate effect, and it's something that we thought we could handle. Rusty Schmidt is the consultant that works with us from Nelson Voorhees, and he would manage the project, and we're just happy for the opportunity to make a contribution, and we thank everybody for recommending us, and we hope it comes to fruition, and we'd like to finish the project before the snow flies. So thank you very much.
Jeff, thanks so much for taking the time to call in. And, I think it's terrific that your homeowners association took on this project, and I look forward to supporting it.
Thank you very much.
Do we have any other callers on the line potentially for this hearing?
I believe we do have another caller. The last 4 digits of this caller's number are 9034. I'll unmute that caller now.
Good morning, Town Board. This is Sarah Davison from the Friends of Georgia Capon Foundation, and I'm calling good morning. I wanted to thank the board and particularly thank Melissa and her team and the Technical Advisory Committee for their assistance in getting us to this point with these Georgia Capon projects. I'm calling to support both projects, both the Peconic Land Trust and the Friends of Georgia Capon. Together, these 2 projects will have a significant impact on reducing nitrogen and bacteria inputs to the pond and improve an unsightly area, improve public access, and greatly improve water quality. So I wanted to thank the board for helping us match the $75,000 county grant that we secured and the private funds that we've put in to date. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling in, Sarah, and we appreciate the partnership with Friends of Georgia and Peconic Land Trust. Both organizations have really been very helpful in protecting the environment. We're pleased to be able to offer support. Do we have any other callers on the line, Michael?
Yes, we do. I have a caller with the last 4 digits of their phone is 8764. I'll unmute that caller now.
Hi, this is David. I'm waiting for the public comment period. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. We'll get right back to you.
I believe
anyone else, Michael?
The previous caller, Mr. Grimes, was that for public comment?
Yes.
Okay, then there are no other callers.
Okay, in that case, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pass and carry. And we can go back to the phones for public comment now, Michael. Thank you.
Okay, I'll unmute the caller with the last 4 digits, 2424, who called in first earlier.
Yes, this is Dave Grimes. The reason for my call is I was the contractor at Safe Routes to Schools project. I have been trying to close this project out since March. March 25th was the last time I resubmitted my final pay rec with the engineer, Jack Figaro from NV5. It's been an extremely slow process, and I'm wondering if the town board can do anything to speed this up, as he is working for them on this.
Yeah, David, I heard about this yesterday, and I checked in with staff, and apparently Jack Figueredo, who's the engineer on the project, as you say, received your invoice last week, and I guess he had a couple of minor comments and was waiting for a few things. So I don't know what specifically he needs to sign off in order for the invoice to be paid, but that's what we're waiting for, the approval from the engineer. So I would suggest that you direct those questions to him, and if you need any assistance in getting those answers, call my office directly and I'll see what I can do to help you.
I appreciate it, Peter. Thank you very much.
You take care and be well.
Yep, you too.
Moving on to that previous caller with the last 4 digits, 8764.
Good morning. It's Dave Buda. I have a little question about a minor matter that's on for action today. Resolution 2021-640 is to accept a grant of a scenic and conservation easement from the Habitat for Humanity that developed the property at 3 Hartley Boulevard. I have no objection, of course, to the town accepting that, but my question really is, it's my understanding that the house was built, completed, perhaps occupied. I happen to have a partial history of that property, and I know that back in 2013, the UR map road work assignment was given, completed, and approved. And I'm just wondering why that 25-foot scenic and conservation easement that is required by the provisions of the Old Filed Map Study Plan for that property and other properties along that frontage of Springs Fireplace Road, why it was not obtained at that time. Was it just an oversight? The resolution doesn't make any mention of how this came about, and it doesn't even specify the depth of the scenic easement that is being offered and the board's about to accept. So I'd like some clarification of the process and make sure that such oversights don't occur again in the future.
John, can you address that for us, please?
Hey, David, what was the number?
640 is the resolution.
The resolution?
Yeah, okay, 640.
On page 31.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in whatever year was 2014. I'm not aware of why it wasn't presented, or if it was presented previously and not recorded. I don't know offhand.
So I think, the important portion here is that there is that scenic easement along that public roadway. I mean, we've tried to keep major roadways and frankly all roadways with scenic buffers wherever possible and retain the rural character of the town.
Well, if I could just comment on that, I would make a suggestion that the resolution be amended to specify the depth of the scenic easement. I believe, according to the UR map, that it should be 25 feet. I assume that's what is in the document. Mr. Jolnicki would know by looking at it. The other thing I want to comment is that it's funny that you said that, Mr. Supervisor, because with respect to the town's sale of the former sewer processing plant to the East Hampton School District, there was a similar, actually a 50-foot scenic easement requirement specified for that property pursuant to the Urban Renewal Map Plan. And somewhere in the process of selling it to another municipality, or municipal entity, the school district, and them having the obligation to send their site plan review to the state education department, I'll bet you dollars to donuts that there's not going to be a 50-foot scenic easement imposed on that project, and there very much should have been. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah, thanks for that, David. I mean, you'll also recall that a portion of that property was mislabeled as Parks and Conservation as well. And I think, that wasn't lost on the town either. It was very much commercial industrial use on the property. But thank you for your comments.
Well, but still, as you're well aware, or you may be aware, it may not have come to the town board, but certainly the planning board's well aware that the current proposal to build a car wash on the adjacent property is subject to a 50-foot scenic easement, and there are two other parcels, or at least one other parcel south of that, between the entrance to the town dump and the highway department, that also should be required to be subject to a 50-foot scenic easement. And somehow, notwithstanding the fact that those are zoned for commercial development, the scenic easement requirement should be enforced and should pertain and still survive the passage of time. So I just want to remind everyone about that as well. Thank you.
And I'm sure that the school district would entertain, having appropriate screening along their property. So, I think that's something, can be pursued directly with them. But thank you for calling.
You're very welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Do we have any other callers on the line, Michael?
There are no new callers. One of the previous callers that called in on one of the hearings is still on the line. If you want to see if they're available, if they're interested to talk about public comment as well.
Sure. Why don't you check with them and see if they're just listening in or if they want to make further comment?
Sure. The caller's last four digits are 0077. I'll unmute that now.
I was just listening. I didn't know if anything more would happen with the Harding Terrace project. So if we're done, I can hang up. So.
You're welcome to listen in, Jeff, and thanks again for all your work in the Nineveh Homeowners Association project.
Okay.
There are no other callers at this time.
In that case, I'd like to move on to resolutions. Kathy, do you have resolutions to offer?
Starting with resolution 2021-606. It's approval of the warrant. Claims total $3,323,126.76, and the utility warrant totals $58,851.98.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
2021-607, it resolved that the bookkeeper is hereby authorized to issue refund checks to Tom Dennison in the amount of $500 for the non-resident permit, Jason Weinberger $1,000 for a non-resident permit, and Fallon Nachmani $500 for the non-resident permit. These folks purchased these in error.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
608 is to authorize and approve 26 senior meditation classes to be provided by Lydia Burns, wellness facilitator at the Springs Fireplace Road Senior Center. First class beginning June 4th, and each weekly session to cost $75, and the financial impact for the remainder of the year would be $1,950.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2021-609 is to approve Qigong for 60-plus wellness, and this is authorizing 25 older adult Qigong classes to be provided by Margaret Iacone, each session to cost $100. First class begins June 3rd, and the financial impact for the remainder of the year will be not to exceed $2,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2021-610 is to authorize payment to B&H Photo for an outstanding 2020 invoice for the IT department in the amount of $85.14.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-611 is a notice to bidders EH 21-025, supply and delivery of miscellaneous kitchenware items. The bid is available May 20th and it's due back June 10th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried.
Resolution 2021-612 is to promote Holly Miller to the full-time position of assistant cook with the Human Services Department in the nutrition program. Her annual salary will be $49,470.22 for a 40-hour work week. It's effective retroactive to May 10th. And Holly had stepped in during COVID and was part of the team that prepared and delivered the 67,000 meals to seniors.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried.
2021-613 is approval of various special event permits. First is OMAC, the 5th annual Montauk Mile on Sunday, June 13th. The Montauk Chamber of Commerce concerts on the Green, and that's Mondays beginning June 28th through August 30th from 5:30 to 8:30. The Travis Field Memorial Scholarship Fund softball tournament at Terry King Ball Field that starts Thursday, August 5th through Sunday, August 8th. And the Clamshell Foundation 29th Annual Sandcastle Contest, which is scheduled for Saturday, August 14th, beginning at 9 a.m. at Atlantic Beach.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried. If I could just say that I'm really excited and pleased to see that we're at the event, a time where we can have events again in public. And thanks everyone for helping us get to this point.
I will say yesterday, we probably reviewed like 30 event applications. And as you heard during the Tuesday work session, our phones are ringing off the hook now that people realize that we're back in business. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. 2021-614 is to set the tent permit fees for 2021. We had adopted a local law, Chapter 141 Fire Prevention, the permit section, so that the fees can be set from time to time by resolution of the board. So this is the fee schedule that was proposed by the fire marshal, reviewed by the special events committee. It mirrors what they fee schedule in Southampton, and it's commensurate with the amount of work that goes into reviewing all of these tents and inspecting all of these tents, and it would go into effect June 1st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Pass carried.
I'd like to offer Resolution 2021-615. This is for the Roth schedule a public hearing for CPF Project Plan Edition. This will be for June 3rd, 2021 at 2 p.m. This is for the estate of Eden Roth at tax map 300-170-3-31.2. The address is the corner of Cross Highway and Skimhampton Road at 92 Cross Highway.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried.
2021-616. It's Roth schedule a public hearing of CPF acquisition and amend the 2021 Management and Stewardship Plan. This is for the estate of Eden Roth at the 92 Cross Highway, East Hampton. It will be on June 3rd, 2021 at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Pass and carried.
I'd like to offer 2021-617. This is for Walker and Graziano. Schedule a public hearing for CPF acquisition and amend the 2021 Management and Stewardship Plan. This is report owners are Joseph and Nancy Walker and Salvador Graziano at location 28, 24, and 20 Broadview Road, Amagansett. Tax maps 300-104-2-25, 26, and 27. The reported price for 28 and 24 Broadview is $9.3 million. The scheduled public hearing will be on June 3rd, 2021 at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried.
I have Resolution 618. This is Moore's, the schedule a public hearing for the CPF acquisition and amend the 2021 Management and Stewardship Plan. Purported owners are the estate of Richard L. Morris, location is 16 East Lake Drive, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-20-3-20. And the The price is not to exceed $1.65 million. The public hearing is going to be also held June 3rd, 2021 at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
I'd like to offer resolution 2021-619. This is for the Gilbert to authorize the CPF project plan addition, where we had a town board meeting for this town board public hearing on May 6, 2021 at 2 p.m. We would like to add this property into that account. The purported owner is Carrie Gilbert, located at 190 Town Lane, East Hampton, tax map 300-167-2-2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2021-620. This is appoint groundskeeper 1 in the Parks Department, Mauricio Bahamondes, and it'll be hereby appointed to a full-time position of groundskeeper 1 in the Parks Department, an hourly rate $18.23 for $37,910.08 annually. Be paid bi-weekly, effective May 24th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
680, sorry, I apologize. 621, appoint seasonal park attendant in the recreational department, Harrison Moores, an hourly rate of $18 per hour, effective May 20th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
This is 622, it's appoint seasonal employees in the recreational department. We have Shakaya Guerrero, Recreation, $15 an hour. Matthew Solis, Recreation, aide, $15 an hour. Kevin Clancy, Recreational Specialist, $20.81. Michael Clancy, Recreational Leader, Sailing, $17.50.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
623, it's appoint seasonal lifeguards, June 2021. This will be effective June 1st, 2021 through September 18th, 2021. Alyssa Brabant, Haley Duca, Emma Wren, Riley Gelkin, Wyatt Schaffler, and Thomas Stubister, Katia Thorson.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
624 is appoint seasonal employees in the Parks Department. We have Stephen Verdugo, Kurt Matthews, Justin Winter, and Milton Lozano. Effective May 20th, 2021.
Second.
Effective on various dates. I apologize.
All in favor?
Second. Aye.
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 Passed and carried.
I'd like to offer resolution 2021-625. This is to appoint part-time automotive equipment operator Ronald Bennett in the Highway Department at an hourly rate of $20.96, effective May 24th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
626 is the title change for seasonal recreational aides to park attendants. All employees are hereby appointed as park attendants at an hourly rate of $18 per hour. No change to the budget accounts. Effective May 20th, 2021. Mackenzie Bennett, Jason Desner, Stacey Holmes, Jennifer Jameson, Dorothy Mosley, Tri Nywin, and Carla Walsh.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried.
627 is authorized payment of 2020 invoices for Julie Evans.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
628 is authorized payments for past due invoices for automotive rentals, and outstanding balances are $949.69 and $37.10. So for a total of $986.79.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
629 is a budget modification for Parks Department, and we're going to be taking $200 for handheld devices and $4,000 for credit processing services. Hold on, Can I table that? I don't see where it's going to.
Yeah,
Okay, so you
Is
want
that
to
correct?
table the resolution?
it's going to those accounts. The 200 is going. They just didn't give us the titles of those
Oh,
accounts. But
I apologize.
codes are there.
Yes, you're right, Kat. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to read on the phone. $200 for handheld devices, and then $4,000 for credit processing charges.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2021-630 is adopt a local law amending Chapter 73 for aircraft of the town code regulating operations of seaplanes and waters subject to the town of East Hampton. On East Hampton's jurisdiction, we had this public hearing. Let me scroll down here to the date.
January 7th.
Thank you very much. And we were making changes to Chapter 71 of the town code.
David, you know, I know you initiated this effort, but I believe Mr. Bragman had asked to be a co-sponsor on the legislation.
Yes,
let's,
thank you, Peter.
So
I appreciate it, David.
can we amend the resolution to list Councilman Bragman as co-sponsor?
Carol can't do
My
that.
machine can't do that. Let Jeff second it,
Well, we've made.
and I'll put a
we
note.
made a
in
note of it, and
Yeah.
if Mr. Bragman cares to second it.
I appreciate that. And I want to thank David for the courtesy. We did collaborate in the early days on this, and I supplied some of the case law, actually, that was the basis to show that it was legal to do this kind of regulation. So I appreciate working with David, and thank you for
So
that.
you care to second it then?
I will second it, yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. Thank you, David. Sylvia, you have.
Yeah, resolution 2021-631 is LIP grant of scenic and conservation easement. This is to schedule a public hearing and to notice the public hearing. The public hearing is on Thursday, June 3rd at 2 p.m. This is for Camilla Lip, a scenic and conservation easement at 21 Bianco Road, East Hampton, and the reviewing agency is the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-632 is to appoint Lauren Steinberg as a Climate Smart Communities Coordinator. If you may know, the town of East Hampton received designation as a bronze New York State Climate Smart Community in 2016. And so we now must renew it as designation that was valid for 5 years. So the town, for the completion of the Community Smart Climate Community Smart Recreation Recertification application must appoint a CSC Task Force Coordinator. And the town would hereby appoint Lauren Steinberg as our Climate Smart Community Coordinator, Task Force Coordinator, an unpaid and voluntary position for the purposes of fulfilling the necessary actions related to being a climate smart community on behalf of the town of East Hampton. And I want to thank Lauren for all the work that she does through the Natural Resources Department.
And I want to mention that we're going to strive for the gold.
Yes, we're working.
One for the gold. Do we have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried.
Resolution 2021-633 is to extend a contract for rfpeh 2020-103 Town of East Hampton Energy Initiative Support Services with Renewable Energy Long Island, Inc. The town accepted the proposal of Renewable Energy Long Island and entered into an agreement for 3 years that's renewable upon agreement of the parties for 2 additional 1-year terms. This would be for the supervisor to execute the agreement renewing the Town of East Hampton Energy Initiative Support Services contract with Renewable Energy Long Island for a period of 1 year, June 30th, 2021 through June 29th, 2022.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Resolution 2021-634 is to accept a grant of scenic and conservation easement for Bradley Schiff and Jennifer Roth. They have a scenic and conservation easement at 15 Harbor Lane Springs, and the reviewing agency was Zoning Board of Appeals.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried.
Resolution 635 is to accept a grant of the scenic and conservation easement for Margaret Jokel and Jesse Jokel, and this was at 30 North Surfside Avenue in Montauk, and the reviewing agency was Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried.
Resolution 636 is to extend the Long Island Green Homes East End Agreement, and the town authorizes the supervisor to execute an addendum to the professional services contract dated January 6, 2020, with Renewable Energy Long Island for a term that shall expire upon the exhaustion of funds available as provided by NYSERDA pursuant to the original contract, but in no event later than 6/30/2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried.
Resolution 2021-637 is to authorize energy manager platform agreement with New York Power Authority. The New York Power Authority, known as NYPA, offers a web-based energy management platform, and we did have a work session on this to analyze data relating to energy costs, which when completed is expected to result in energy efficiency recommendations, resulting in energy savings and opportunities. And this is for our existing 85 utility accounts that the town has. We authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with NYPA at a cost not to exceed $7,965.50 for the first year and $5,465.50 for the second year. And from a particular budget account line.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2021-638 is to hire an appraiser for Whalebone 2 lots. The town wishes to secure appraisals for these 2 properties to reflect the fair market value of the land only. Clark and Marshall is hereby retained to prepare an appraisal report for each of the above parcels. For said appraisal report shall not exceed $400 each, or a total of $800.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Resolution 639 is to extend a contract for maintenance and landscaping at the airport. We entered into a contract previously with Suburban Maintenance and Landscaping for a total cost of $15,769. And Jim Brundage, the airport manager, is recommending that we extend that agreement for a period of 1 year, effective July 18th, 2022, at a cost of $15,769 for 2 mowings annually.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. Resolution 640 is Habitat for Humanity Grant Scenic Easement and Conservation Easement. Scheduled public hearing. That would be the date of the easement is May 5th. And the public hearing is scheduled for May 27th. No, it's enlisted May
June 3rd. June 3rd.
June 3rd. Thank you. Didn't have it highlighted. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
And,
Aye.
and just reminding people, June 3rd is that first Thursday. It's at 2 o'clock, not at 11.
Thanks.
Yep.
A lot of public hearings that day.
Yeah, we will have a lot of public hearings.
That day too.
Resolution 641 is to appoint traffic control officer to the Easthampton Town Police Department, Luis Barrios, and that's at an hourly rate of $14.25, effective May 23rd, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. Resolution 642 is a regrade of ordinance inspector titles, amend the CSEA schedule, and it lists the various positions and their hours, as well as the rates of pay that range from $29.15 per hour to $32.87 per hour.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution 643 is to reinstate Evelyn Calderon to the senior office assistant Spanish speaking in the building department. And that would be effective on June 1 at an hourly rate of $23.61, $49,117.12 annually.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passed and carried. Resolution 644 is to authorize translation services, Sandra Ramos Connor, and that is to not exceed $350.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. 645 is a budget modification finance, and that is moving from outside professional in the amount of $3,000 to advertising in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried. 646 is budget modification for the town attorney, and that is to move $20,000 from contingency into outside professional in the same amount. And this is for the matter for legal services for Jerry Goldfeder, the law firm Strzok and Levin LLP.
Second.
Wayne Scott Incorporation petition.
Sorry. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed carried. 647 is notice to bidders, EH 21024, printing of police forms and brochures 2021. The bids available May 20th and due back on June 10th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And carried. Resolution 648 is notice of proposal, professional engineering services for town projects 2021. RFP EH 2021-102 proposal available May 20th and due back on June 17th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passed and carried. 649 is notice to bidders, EH 21023, printing of miscellaneous forms 2021, bid available May 20th and due back June 10th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And carried. 650 is to amend resolution 2021-574. And this is for Joseph Birdie. He was appointed as volunteer. And this is to, let's see, he's hereby appointed temporary seasonal position, student intern 1 with the Easthampton Police Department Marine Patrol, and then an hourly rate of $15 to be paid effective May 31st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 651 is to accept bid EH 21018 contract, annual contract for supply and delivery of genuine Ford OEM part 2021, and that goes to Newlands Bay Shore Ford Incorporated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 38 is, let's see, resolution 652 is to ratify memorandum of agreement between the town and the Police Benevolent Association. And, I'm very pleased that we've reached agreement for the contract. I think it's a fair contract for both our officers who serve our community as well as the taxpayers. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried, and that will extend through December 31st, 2024. Resolution 653 is to approve payment of the 2020 invoice for KB Emblem Company, and that is in the amount of $234.25.
Second.
I think it's supposed to be emblem, not emblem in the title.
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. 654 is to authorize license agreement for the use of the Easthampton Center for Humanity, the COVID vaccination center at the former CDCH building. And this, it will be with East End Pediatrics PC, and they will be paying a per vaccination event custodial fee of $1,200. And the term for the 3-month period is $1. And I just want to say that that vaccination clinic will be going this Saturday, June 22nd, and they'll start at about 9 a.m. and will go throughout the entire day, and I think wrap up somewhere around 7 p.m. Now that children 12 and older are eligible for vaccine, the pediatric doctors are now getting access, and we'd said from the beginning that we would be happy to partner with any entity that would be wanting to provide mass vaccination at that stage. We had it set up. Dr. Schoenfeld's been a volunteer at our vaccine pods pretty much throughout, and I want to thank her for her efforts as being the medical doctor on site, enabling us to do those vaccines. And it's also open to the public. You can go to East End Pediatrics and pre-register, or you can walk in day of. And I'll just say that we could probably use a couple more volunteers to help direct traffic, and a couple more volunteers for vaccinator assistance. I'll be working there as well as my wife, Marilyn. And we have a great group of volunteers that have been helping us with our clinics, and many of those are carrying over. But we probably could use a few, 3 or 4 more folks to help us out on Saturday. It's not too darn difficult. And Jeff, I see you raising your hand. That'd be great if you want to come out.
Yeah, I'll drop by.
We can go over, it's a pretty large commitment in terms of hours. If we can go over the traffic procedures. One of the things that we've really been keenly focused on there is to make sure that traffic never backs up on the Stephen Hans path, which is an extremely busy road. I know PD will be putting up the speed signs there to help slow folks down. But again, we're getting to the point where there's another eligibility group here. We want to make sure that vaccine is available to anyone in the community. There also will be a vaccination pod at Ashwell Hall, May 24th. And we've been working with Study Brook Medicine to put together that pod at that location. And thanks, Kathy, for reaching out to Ashwell Hall and helping to arrange those potential dates. So we're getting close to getting everybody done. And if you're hesitant about getting the vaccine, they're incredibly effective. And we've seen the impact of giving vaccine on the rate of infection. I was notified yesterday that the county is no longer giving the daily updates as to the cases, positive cases and whatnot, because the numbers have now become so low at the moment that they didn't think that was a good use of their resources at this point. Hopefully they never have to resume that again, but if necessary, they will. And we have a second. We have approval on that, right?
Second.
Not yet.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. Any other resolutions to offer? In that case, we'll go back and see if there are any callers on the line, and then we'll adjourn the meeting. Michael, do we have any callers?
Yes, we do. We have one caller. The last 4 digits of their phone are 8764. I'll unmute that now.
Good afternoon again. This is David Buda. I'd like to make 3 comments or questions about actions taken today, and I'd ask that we take them in order, and if there are any responses or answers to my questions, I think it'd be easier if we just keep them separate. Number 1, Resolution 2021-627, authorizing, the category is issuance of check, authorizing payment of an invoice. I think it may be an oversight or something unusual, but I don't believe that you have the authority to issue a blank check to the finance office to make payment without specifying it in a resolution. That seems to be an omission. I think your standard practice is to include a fiscal impact, and I've never seen you before approve in blank an unreviewed invoice. That's 1.
Yeah, this is
comment?
Yeah, this is a resolution. It's to authorize the invoice. And Carol, do we have an amount on that invoice? Seems to have been omitted.
I do not know right now without having it in front of me.
So the fisheries.
Is that the one? Is that the one for the fisheries representative?
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's in the budget. And
it's within the budget, and it was audited. I don't know what the fiscal input act is offhand right now, but we could check with our budget director on that.
Yeah, I think it'd be
May I
good to
suggest
get that number.
Mr. Buda might be right. That resolution might have to be amended before it gets paid. I do have to have a dollar amount in the resolution. to pay it.
Okay, good,
Do
good
we
to know.
want
Thank you.
to try and get that taken care of today while we're at it? Why don't you move on to the next issue, David? Thanks for pointing that one out.
Next thing is, I was glad to hear Councilwoman Burke-Gonzalez basically say that the events committee is back in business. I'd like to know when the town board, as a body, is going to discuss you getting back in business and the town offices at Fantico Place getting back in business. So the doors are open for people to come in, those who have been vaccinated without a mask and have access to your public access computers and be able to to walk in to request review of documents without having to make appointments. Now, the offices have been very good during this COVID period of supplying documents either by email from the building department or by pickup at the assessor's office, and appointments have been made at the planning board's office. But it's time, isn't it, to start discussing getting back to business, as Councilwoman Burke-Gonzalez so happily stated?
David, I guess you missed the memo. We actually opened on the 19th. That was the date the governor announced that occupancies would go back to pre-COVID, and that we did announce that we were going to open all offices. Again, we're asking for people to continue to maintain the social distancing, which was still in place, and we're also asking that people do wear their masks when they're in town offices. And the purpose for requesting that is that there's still a number of people in the community that are seeking to be vaccinated and have not yet had an opportunity to be vaccinated. And it's out of respect for them and public health that we're asking just to abide by those wearing of masks indoors, at least for the short term. I expect we'll get to a point pretty soon where we'll be able to abandon the mask wearing, but we're still asking within town offices that folks do that.
Okay, that's great. I don't think you mentioned anything about town board meetings going back to regular procedures, or perhaps the forthcoming hybrid methodology.
Right, we did actually talk a bit about that, and we have a few technical issues we need to make sure we work out with LTV. My hope is that we could be back as early as June 1st for our Tuesday work session, which is our next Tuesday work session. But, if not, then relatively soon after that. And I do believe that the hybrid format, allowing people to call in, has really increased the engagement. I was talking to Mayor Lockheim Sagaponic this morning in a meeting, and we were discussing that. And he's noticed the same thing, that they're actually having greater engagement with the public, with the ability to call in or conduct Zoom committee meetings and whatnot. So I think going forward, we probably will continue with the hybrid. I'm not sure what the situation will be with public hearings. As you know, the open meetings laws was suspended by the governor, and he's been extending that suspension to allow us to have public hearings virtually. Once that order is lifted, then you may be able to call in, but you may actually have to be in person participating in order to meet the hearing record requirements. Going forward, also, I suspect that there will be a revision of the open meetings law by the legislature to address this very issue, because I think we've all felt that this technology adequately allows access by the public to let their opinions be known, and that's the status on that.
Okay, I apologize for having missed the memo. Maybe it came out on the 18th, which is a very busy day, known as Grievance Day and School Budget Election Day. Third topic. You've announced or you've adopted a resolution to schedule a public hearing for acquisition of significant properties, 2 properties in the Bell Estate, quite a large price tag, $9.3 million, less than apparent contribution from someone who I can't understand why they would have an interest in this, having bought the third property and now giving it up and making a contribution. I think there's a lot here that's going on. I'd like to let you know that I would appreciate as much opportunity presentation when the time comes by the land acquisition manager and or the town board, since you obviously have received the recommendation from the CPF committee and approved it to schedule it for a hearing. I would like to know whether or not, in fact, you have utilized the recommended procedure of entering into a contingent contract, and if so, I will be seeking to obtain access to that contract before the hearing. So I'd like to know if there is a contingent contract that can be obtained at this time to review in advance of the hearing. That's a question.
I don't know the answer to the last question. I mean, generally, when we enter in contracts prior to hearing public notice, John, can you address that?
The contracts are typically contingent upon a public hearing. In this particular case, there is no contract that's signed as of yet.
Okay. I just know that ordinarily that's a common practice and probably a recommended procedure to have a contingent contract. Otherwise, you can go to public hearing and then find out that the deal falls apart. So if there is no contingent contract executed, then I can't obtain a copy of it, but we'll pursue it. I do think this is an important proposed acquisition in the Bell Estate, and it also triggers a question about what rights the public in general will acquire with respect to the beach owned by the homeowners association. These two properties do not include the beach. I believe they're up high on a hill overlooking a beach, which is a separate tax map lot. And there has been contention and issues in the past with regard to signage warning people not to walk on the beach that's owned by the homeowners association. And I'm just wondering, whenever you, the town board, through CPF funds, acquires land and homeowners association turf, and you've done that in several locations in the Springs, the public's rights to access those common areas owned by the homeowners association should be addressed, should be clarified, should be in the contract, and should be given consideration as to why the town is willing to spend net $6 million to acquire two vacant properties in this exclusive neighborhood. I'm going to be looking at this very carefully, and I would appreciate as much information about it as possible. I should also mention, I don't want to, what's the word? I don't want to surprise you at the hearing, but you have neglected to check whether or not these properties are on the CPF project plan. They are not.
David, I can answer that last part of that. I actually got a message from our land acquisition manager, director, Scott Wilson, in which there was a resolution that was supposed to be on to add it to the M&S plan. I think there were some changes, and that did not get through today. So that message stated that this actually public hearing that we scheduled is going to have to be pulled either at that point or canceled at that point, because we did not get that resolution on today. It's somewhere caught up in the system.
Okay, then I'd appreciate that it be pulled ASAP and rescheduled after that other resolution can be considered for adoption. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, David.
Carol, I will let you. Carol, how should we manage that one? Do we just cancel it, or can we do this still currently right now?
You should bring it back up and amend it how you want it.
We are prepared to amend it today. You have the.
I would think you would have to I think you would have to at least reschedule the hearing to give you time to adopt.
Well, okay, but what date would we need to schedule that hearing?
You can schedule it for 14 days after, so it'll be the 17th.
Okay.
So can I amend resolution 2021-617, which would be Walker and Graziano, and schedule a public hearing instead of June 3rd, sorry, I'm trying to read off my phone here, 2021 to June 17th, 2021 at 11 a.m.
I think you also have to amend the date of publication of the notice.
And the notice would go in the paper for June 3rd.
No, hold on a minute.
Oh,
It would be June 10th, I believe.
It can go the 3rd or the 10th, whichever one you want.
We'd want to do the 10th because you want to put it with the,
Right, with the addition.
Yeah.
You want to make the addition.
so I'll clarify everything. I'd like to amend the resolution 2021-617, which is the Walker and Graziano, to schedule a public hearing for acquisition and amend the 2021 M&S plan for 2024 and 27 Broadview Road to be scheduled for June 17th, 2021 at 11 a.m. and then notified in the paper for June 10th, 2021.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Passed
And
and carried.
David, I just want David Buddha. I believe that you can go on that beach. You cannot, they shouldn't say you can't walk on it. I believe the covenants and restrictions on it were that they could traverse the beach. So if they've got signs up that say you can't go there, then I believe they're wrong. I'll have the planning board check it out, but they shouldn't have a sign up that says that people cannot walk on the beach.
I haven't been there in a while. The dogs will need a walk over in that area, and I'll check it out for you as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
they
Make sure
don't
you pick
want
up after
driving on the beach, but walking on the beach is everybody can do that.
Thanks for calling in, David. We appreciate your assistance.
No charge. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So going back to resolution 2021-627, the amount of the voucher, which hasn't been audited yet, was $1,314.88. So David, if you want to amend the resolution to say in an amount not to exceed $1,314.88.
I ask a favor, Kathy. I don't have it so easily available. If you have it, that'd be great. It would be appreciated.
Carol, can I make an emotion to amend resolution 2021-627?
Go ahead.
So the resolved that the amount to be paid will be upon review of documentation by the finance office in an amount not to exceed $1,314.88.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. And I believe that concludes our business for today. Any other resolutions, amendments?
No, but we are going to go into exec session. Is that correct?
Yes, we have.
And so I'll entertain a motion to go into exec
I
session.
move to enter into an exec session to discuss personnel in the planning department and buildings and grounds department, to discuss the acquisition of real property and to receive advice from counsel.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's
Passed and carried.
12:30.
And be well, everyone. We're going to reconvene at 1 o'clock or 1:15. What board's preference? You want to go straight in?
I'm good with straight in.
So let's go straight in then.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'll send the link shortly. Stay safe, be well, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.